Hello. I have to get something off my chest. I'm a rookie, and today we're going to be talking about chess, its pieces, its history, and why it's important. First things first, there are 64 squares on a chessboard. There are two different colors, white, which could be yellow or white, and the darker color, which could be black or green. No matter what color they are, the lighter one is always called white, and the darker one is always called black. We have 8 vertical lines called files and 8 horizontal lines called ranks. There are 16 different pieces. Those 16 pieces are a person's army. That army consists of 6 different pieces, which is your king, your rook, your bishop, your queen, your knight, and your pawn. First up, we have the rook. Each player has 2 rooks. The rook is on A1 and H1 for white, and A8 and H8 for black. Rooks can move horizontally and vertically on their path. Then we have knights. Knights are the trickiest of them all. Each player has 2 knights. Knights are on B1 and G1 for white, and B8 and G8 for black. Knights work in an L shape. Fun fact about a knight is they're the only piece that can jump other pieces. Also, depending on what color square they are on, they have to jump to a different colored square. Let's say they are on a white square, they then can only move to black squares, and vice versa. Next, we have bishops. Bishops are on C1 and F1 for white, and C8 and F8 for black. Bishops move diagonally. Each player has 2 bishops. The bishops are also on different colored squares. One is on a black square, and one is on a white square. Then we have pawns. Each player has 8 pawns, and those pawns are on the second row closest to the person. Pawns don't really do a lot. On their first go around, or their first move, they can move 2 spots forward, but after they've been moved once, they can no longer move 2. They can only move 1. Pawns cannot capture ahead of them, but they can capture diagonally. Another fun fact is that if your pawn gets to the other side of the board, you can exchange it for a queen, a rook, a knight, and a bishop, or a bishop. Then we have the queen. The queen is the most powerful piece there is. The queen is on D1 for white and D8 for black. Queens have the combined power of a bishop and a rook, where they can move vertically, horizontally, and diagonally. And then finally, kings. Kings are your most important piece. Now your king is on E1. Your king is on E1 for white and E8 for black. Kings can only move 1 square in any direction. And if your king's in trouble, then you better get him out of the way, because that could mean the end of the game for you. Now, I mentioned this before, but it's still important to go over. You cannot hop other pieces unless you are a knight, of course. Let's say you're a bishop, and you're on F4, and you want to go to H6, but there's a black pawn in the way at G5. You cannot skip that black pawn. You can do 3 things, though. You can either take the pawn, do nothing, or go back to a different way on your path. There are also multiple ways to win chess. The most known way is called checkmate. Checkmate is when your king cannot go to any square without being captured, like here. The 2 other ways are when your opponent sees their undepending doom in their future and knows that they cannot win, so they admit defeat early. And also, the other one is a draw, where both people agree that it's a tie. Now, once upon a time, a lot of people claim that chess was their thing, that they created it, but it isn't well known where it first came from. But thanks to Chaturanga, progenitor of the chess family, Chaturanga is believed, or at least factual believed, to be the first known form of the chess we have today. Chaturanga, the goal is the same as what we have today, to capture the knight or to capture the general and or the king. Now, this is going to get confusing. Instead of queens, though, they had things called furs, F-E-R-Z. And furs didn't really do much. They could move one space diagonally, but that was it. And then they also had elephants. But elephants couldn't really do much either. They could only move 2 squares diagonally. This form was later brought to Europe by Persian traders. And Europe doesn't really have elephants, nor did they have furs. So they changed it to queens and bishops to match their lifestyle. This was called romanticizing chess. And chess took off. The very first World Chess Championship was in 1886 between William Steinitz and Jonas Zuktorp. William won 10-5, and he became the very first world chess champion. But that's not the only great thing he did. He was also one of the first men to agree that women should play chess. When a Turkish club let men bring their wives and daughters in to watch them play and even play for themselves if they wanted to, he agreed with them, saying, quote, "This is as it should be, and we hope that this example will be followed by other chess societies. It being evident that if we exchange the queens of our hearts for the queens of our boards, and if we can enlist the interest of our conable mates for our chesticle mates, our intellectual pastime will be immensely benefited and will pass into universal favor." Now, I'm about to rook your world. Our final point is chess and why it's important. Now, over the past years, chess has stayed the same rules, the same names, the same looks. But that doesn't mean chess is a boring game. There's many pros to playing chess. It helps you with empathy because you have to see from another person's perspective. It helps you with problem solving, helps you with concentration because you have to concentrate on the game, and it helps you with memory. And like other games, it all depends on who your opponent is. If you have a nice opponent, you could have a good game. Now that we've captured the all-knowing knight, stole the history queen, and cornered the oh-so-important king, that's checkmate. Thank you for joining me.